Learning walk is a term used to describe a short observation within the teacher's classrooms, most often in a 5 to 10 minute maximum time frame. Walkthroughs was the term earlier being used, and some people switched from walkthroughs to learning walks to indicate that the walkthrough tended to be interpreted as more supervisory and was the administrator's focus on the teacher, where the term learning walk suggested paying a closer attention to student behaviors. Another term being used by some folks now are learning rounds, taken from the medical term. And learning rounds are often teachers observing in each other's classrooms. Whatever the term is that's being used for these observations, the critical element is to establish the purpose. And I think when administrators are conducting the walkthroughs, they create a great opportunity for the leadership team to identify whether or not the existing teacher and student behaviors are likely to lead us to achieving the school goals. When teachers when teachers create the criteria for the learning walk, and then those learning walks are conducted by teachers, they provide a great opportunity for gathering data on teacher and student behavior that can serve as feedback, often to a professional learning community or to individual teachers, to see whether or not the changes they are looking to implement are occurring. The backwards analysis is the process through which one identifies the needed student behaviors to create the desired student outcome. If you knew that an athlete needed to develop flexibility to improve her performance, the coach would identify what it is the athlete needs to do at practice to reach the outcome. Then the coach would observe the athlete during the practice activities to see whether or not the athlete was implementing the practice activities that the coach had designed. Similarly, teachers need to identify the necessary student behaviors in order to reach the outcome. That then creates the criteria for the learning walk, where we're observing whether or not the desired student behaviors and the supporting teacher behaviors to guide and motivate and direct those student behaviors are in place. Peer coaching, teachers coaching teachers, I believe is the ideal process through which learning walks can bring about the changes to produce increased student achievement. When teachers are observing teaching and learning in another teacher's classroom, we have the opportunity to analyze and learn in a way that doesn't happen when we're observing while we're teaching. That opportunity to stand aside and not have the delivery pressures on me, and to be able to watch student and teacher and that teaching learning process, I just believe is critical. I know personally how much I have learned from having those opportunities to observe in classrooms. Now, to tie that into a professional learning community, imagine that through the use of walk-through learning walk data, our social studies PLC identified that 75% of the student conversation in our classroom was coming from less than 25% of the students. Now, if we decided we wanted to bring about a change in that outcome, in our PLC, we would identify changes in teacher strategy that we believe would get the desired change in students. Then, through use of the continued learning walk process, new data would be collected and fed back to the PLC to identify whether or not, as teachers, we were actually making the changes we wanted to make. And then secondary, after we as teachers have made those changes, are those changes bringing about the desired change in student behavior?